All right, we have about 26 seconds to start. Okay, we are ready to start. Now, I would like one of you to tell me how the audio quality is, because I can't tell from here. Right, so I am going to move this over here so I can see the live stream as well. There is a bit of delay in when I am showing you something and then when you see something. So please comment and let me know who is here and say hi to the group here. Audio quality, clear voice. Thank you. Meet Luca. Thank you, Luca. All right, cool. So today, what I'm going to be talking about is walking you through the steps of setting up Google Analytics 4 via Google Tag Manager. The focus is going to be on Google Analytics 4 and not on Google Tag Manager. However, I will show you the steps required. Won't go deeper into Google Tag Manager. Those who are interested to learn more about Google Tag Manager, they should check out a video that I did about 3-4 weeks ago, a free live session. The Dog Company, hi. So check that out, as well as definitely I have courses on every aspect of this, Google Tag Manager, Google Analytics. Google Analytics 4 course is out. I think it's one of the first, or maybe the first course out there in the market today. So check that out. I will give you code that you can use to enroll in that course. There is a full course as well as the membership. Membership gives you about 25 courses that are available for you, and then more being added. That covers not only Google Analytics, Google Tag Manager, but A/B testing, personalization, SQL, etc. So check out those who are not enrolled in Optizent Academy. Please go ahead and do that. And then those who are, make sure to give it a thumbs up to this video if you like it. I'm sure you will. And also make sure to subscribe to the channel. So I've got 2 people who have said hi. I would love to hear from everybody else as well. And I'm going to dive into now Google Analytics. I hope all of you are familiar with Google Analytics, the Universal Analytics, the current or previous version, whatever you want to call it. Google Analytics 4 is a brand new product. Not everybody is aware of there is something called Google Analytics 4, because I am surprised by when people say, what is Google Analytics 4? Because they are not aware of that this new tool has come up. So I also did another session on Google Analytics 4 to compare the differences between Google Analytics and Google Analytics 4 a while ago. Check that out as well. That's also available on this channel. Today's focus is going to be, if you are familiar with Google Analytics or 4, or trying to create a new property in Google Analytics, you will notice that by default, Google Analytics now creates Google Analytics 4 property. However, you can create the previous version as well, or only the previous version as well. So I'm going to show you that. Now let's dive into Google Analytics. I'm still waiting to hear from everybody else. Just say hi so I know who you are. I do get a lot of people who join these classes, which happen every Thursday on regular basis. We're not going to have a class next week because of Thanksgiving, right? And then we will jump into the classes after that. I am bringing a lot of third-party providers to provide you what their tool, to provide you information on what their tools look like, as well as some free access to their tools. So Make sure to check out these live sessions because those things are going to be only available in live sessions. All right, so let's go and let me share my screen here, new share, and I am going to be sharing. This is the site that we will be using for our purposes today. This is where I will be implementing Google Analytics. And I already have a Google Tag Manager code sitting on this site, which I'm gonna, not the container code, I'm not gonna remove that. I am going to create a new tagging stuff on this site. Now, this site is for freelancers. If you're interested, this site is going to be changing pretty soon in next few maybe months or maybe in a month to give it a new look and feel. But for now, testing purposes, I can test it because I can play with this site and make changes without affecting the business. All right, so here I'm in Google Analytics. You guys all familiar with Google Analytics admin interface, right? Hi, Brenda. Hi, Sonja. Right, so if you're not familiar with it, just let me know. You can get to admin access when you sign up for Google Analytics. You get the account created, and you can access the admin by going and clicking on this wheel, or it might say admin, depending on your screen size, right? When you are in admin panel, it turns to wheel. So here you already have an account, right? So once you set up Google Analytics, it's going to ask you a bunch of questions, account, and then properties set up. Property is, think of property as a set of websites or a site that you want to track. Account is a overall grouping or admin level access. So those who are working, this is a question that I get asked a lot. Those who are working with different clients, you should always create a different account for different clients, not different properties. For each client, create a new account. It's easy to transfer that over to them. So in Google Analytics, if you already have Google Analytics account, click on Create Property. This is where you give your property a name. Which site or set of sites or business are you trying to track? I'm gonna call it Analytics Hire. And if you wanna follow along, that's fine. If you just wanna watch it and re-watch this later, that's fine as well. So for November class, just in case I know what this property is about. Set your time zone. I'm in Seattle, so LA time, that works, same time zone. And then you have currency that you will be tracking your revenue in. If you're doing e-commerce or other kind of stuff, it will be default property. Now you have a small link here, show advanced options. Click on it. And this is where you can create a universal analytics property as well. So you can go and check this to create two properties, one in Google Analytics 4, which is the new version, and Universal Analytics, which is the old. I'm hesitant to say old because it's going to stay for at least a year to maybe longer. So you can create a Universal Analytics property. If you are reading content online, if you are watching videos, most of the content today is about Universal Analytics. So if you want to learn Google Analytics, that's the way to do it. Just enable this. Once you enable it, you give your site a name. I'm going to call it analyticshire.com. And then you have options to create both GA4 and Universal Analytics property. Or you can just create a Universal Analytics property, which is old one. I suggest you do this. Even if you are going to be using for your business Universal Analytics property, start playing with GA4 because this is the default. It has much better capabilities in terms of tracking. So I highly suggest you get ahead of the curve, start playing with it and start using it. Definitely, I'm going to plug in my course because to make sure you are ahead of that pack here, you can learn everything that I'm learning. I'm spending a lot of time looking at Google Analytics, how they're doing it, and then bringing those things to you. Google Analytics documentation, Google Analytics 4 documentation is not very robust. It's not there. Like some of the things are still a mystery. Like where is this thing? And I spend hours looking for that or finding solutions to those things. But if you are learning, there are a lot of people who are struggling with the same thing, whether it's your organization, whether you're a freelancer. This will actually help you, stay ahead of everybody. And if you're a freelancer, it's an opportunity to make tons of money there. All right, so I'm going to leave both and enable enhanced measurement for Google Analytics 4 property. I'm going to talk a bit about this. Those who are familiar with old Google Analytics or the Universal Analytics, there are certain things that you need to enable by using Google Tag Manager or on-page code, such as file downloads, YouTube video tracking, scroll events, right? When the user scrolls, how far they are scrolling, etc. And those things are now enabled part of enhanced measurement of Google Analytics 4. And I will show you what those events are. Google Analytics 4 is very event-focused tool. Everything is an event. So you can have properties for or parameters for those events when you set them up. These 5 or 6 of those enhanced measurements are already tracked for you. We'll cover that in a few minutes. Click on next, pick anything. I'm gonna pick this. I do not know, just 2 of those. Industry, let's do online communities, who cares? At this point, I don't care about this because this property is gonna be deleted after I do it. All right, so here we are into Google Analytics 4 property. That's all created. There is a measurement ID, stream ID. Stream ID is a unique ID that tells Google Analytics like where we're sending this data to, and and the measurement ID is your Google Analytics tracking ID. And then you have these 3, which are part of enhanced measurement. So page views are also tracked as events. You have scrolls, you have outbound clicks, and there are 3 more. So site search, on-site search. What are people searching on your site is automatically tracked. And then you have video engagement. These are for YouTube embedded video. There is a little trick to it. You just can't take YouTube code and put it on your site. I've tested that, does not work. You have to have a special code, which I am going to be dropping in my courses, like how do you actually set your YouTube videos so you can track them. And then file downloads. These are the file downloads such as docs, etc., that you can put on for your users on your site, and they can then download. It's all automatically tracked. In previous version, Universal Analytics, you have to write special code or do Google Tag Manager or use Google Tag Manager to do it. If you want more details on this, click on this wheel, and here are the details. If you want to understand how this is done or what's done. So those are enhanced measurement, not to be confused with enhanced e-commerce that previous Google Analytics did. Once you're done there, here are instructions for you to set this up in Google Tag Manager or via using on-site tags. So you have this tag that you can use. This is your property ID. That property ID will start to get that data once you put this code on your page. However, what I'm going to show you how you can do this in Google Tag Manager. I'm going to stop here for a few seconds to let you guys catch up, ask questions, anything that's not clear at this point. All right, no questions? All right, if you have no questions, we'll continue then. Okay, now you got, this is your measurement ID that you will need in Google Tag Manager. Those who are familiar with old Google Analytics, that is your property ID, tracking ID that you need. This is your measurement ID now that you will need. Before I actually go in, let me show you about this button too. So in certain cases, depending on your privacy or whatever you want to do, you might not want to track these by default. You can uncheck those individual ones from here or disable all of them. I see a reason for you to disable all of them. You need page views, maybe you don't need scrolls, etc. You can disable all of them or one by one in this settings option. Okay, so this is the ID that I'm going to use. Now I'm going to go to Google Tag Manager. In Google Tag Manager, I've already set up a base, but I'm going to show you how this base this works. So click on New, and then this is where you'll call it GA base tag live class. Forget for a minute that I have this tag enabled. I'm just setting everything from scratch at this point. So what I'm trying to do is take that measurement ID and create a tag in Google Tag Manager so that I can start to track page views and these events. These are all by default, nothing needed, no event tracking, nothing. Once I put a base tag, all these things will start to become available for you. Right, so once I go to Google Tag Manager, click on Tag Configuration, and this is where you check GA4 configuration. That is the configuration that you need, and then put your measurement ID here. So I'm gonna go back to Google Analytics, copy this, bring it back here, and paste it here, okay? I'm not going to be touching any of these at this point because those are part of the advanced tracking, but all we're doing is setting the base tag at this point. And then we're going to be sending page view event when this configuration loads. Next, you have to figure out is, okay, this is a tag, but when do I want to trigger this? When do I want to capture this? I want to capture it on all the pages, right? So then I will trigger it on all the pages. Click on the middle here, and then you'll see there is only one trigger available. You can create more triggers by clicking on this plus sign here and setting your conditions. For now, I just want to use it on all pages. That's it. Once that's done, go ahead and save it. Now your base tag is done. What you do then is you go ahead and submit this base tag to your site, and once it's enabled, your data will start to come in to your tag. So what I'm going to do here is, this is all the setup. I am going to actually, let me just go ahead and remove this one, the previous tag, so we can see the data in our new property. Delete it. And I am going to submit this tag, new base tag, publish. Okay, now that tag is published. I can also, now, once you go to Analytics Hire, what I've seen is sometimes it takes a while for the real-time data to show up. So I'm going to go to Google Analytics here, the one I just created, go to real-time and see how long it takes for it to come. I make sure it's in the right tag. Yeah, J3T, which I go here, view page J3T. Yeah, that tag code is right here. So if you're not familiar, you have to take that Google Tag Manager code, put it on your pages. Let's see, Analytics Hire. Maybe some of you can go ahead and hit that page so I can see if the data is coming across or not. I'm going to drop this call thing in chat here. Go ahead and hit it. It's not showing up. I should not have deleted the old one then. Well, I can show you the debug code in the other one, but it should. Let me just make sure everything is configured here properly. Yep, it's the measurement ID. I got that measurement ID right here. Property settings. Oh, sorry, data stream. 24BT, 24BT, and all pages. And submit again, just to make sure. Base tag and publish. Okay, I started getting the data in this one. So thank you for those who hit this, say Romania, Mumbai. Thank you very much. So as you can see in real time, the data has started to come in. Go ahead and hit other pages, and you will start to see the data in other pages as well. One thing you'll notice is all these events that have started to come up. Session start, first visit, two people, this is their first visit on the site, user engagement, scrolls, etc. So these are events that are automatically tracked by Google Analytics. So other than those 6 enhancements, there are other events that get tracked. And if you're interested in knowing what those events are, check out the complete course because I go into detail on what these mean and what they do. Now I'm going to show you this is one way to verify, right? You are verifying that in real time. You can also verify in DebugView in Google Analytics. And I found this one to be a bit flaky. Yesterday, I was trying it like multiple times, but I'm just going to try it and see how this works for you. So what you need to do is there are 2 ways to trigger this debug view. This debug view will show you a live stream of all the events that are being triggered by folks who are debugging this tool. So I'm going to be debugging it, and you will be able to see that live stream coming up here. So in order to do that, there are 2 ways to trigger that. One is you're in Tag Manager. So I'm going to be using Tag Manager example. I'm going to go to Workspaces here and click on Preview option. Once I put this code in preview, this is a new Google Tag Manager preview. I provide a site name and I click on Start. Then the Tag Manager preview starts. Okay, debugger is connected. As you can see on my screen at the bottom right, you will see debugger is connected, which means now I'm in the mode where I can see all these things. I'm going to go back to Google Analytics right here, and you'll see this live stream that shows you what's happening on the site. The page got loaded, scroll event happened. I'm going to go to see page views. I'm going to go and click on job listings. And all these events will start to come up in this mode. It takes a while. This is just a timeline. It takes a while sometimes for them to pop up, depending on when Google is sending that data or processing it. I have seen sometimes I'll go forward with the page views. Let's see, home. I don't know which window is connected. So I'm just going to click on a bunch of them just to show you where it's happening. So sometimes I do an event that'll pop up later and will be shown here because it might skip another event. But you can see right now the stream is scrolling. Clicking on any of these events will give me details about that event. See, scroll happened again. When I click on, let me actually show you this. So when I click on this event, for example, I'm going to click on first visit. It gives me a bunch of parameters and user properties. User properties are a way to define a user. I can attach a bunch of properties there. Again, details are going to be in the course. This portion is coming up soon. But event parameters define an event. User properties define a user. Clicking on any of these parameters will give you details about that. Page title, which page happened on the first visit. Page referrer, where did the user came from, like Tag Assistant or Google. That's the one I just started from here, which is right here. I don't know why this stopped here. So, okay. And then you have page location, where the user is, session number, session ID. This session number is this user session on that property. Like this is the brand new property. I just came on that property, so you'll see one. Similarly, I can look at session start, scroll, and let me just go click on certain other things. As you'll notice, like sometimes it just stops doing it here. And here is the Google Tag Manager or preview option here. Oh, click to unpause. Okay, so I'm going to click on session start here. You can see page location. Again, same things. Scroll event. Scroll event has source, percent scrolled. Keep scroll only happens when there is a 90% scroll. That's by default. In the old mode, in the old Universal Analytics settings, you can actually trigger scroll event at certain points like 10, 20, 30, etc. In Google Analytics 4, by default, 90% is tracked. If you want more than 90%, let's say you want to see if the person scrolls 50%, etc., you can do that via events. Everything can be tracked via events or user properties. Keep that in mind. Whatever your scenario is, think about it. Does it apply to an event or does it apply to a user property? Whichever the answer is, then you go and set it up in Google Tag Manager or via on page. Then you have page location, medium, source medium, all those things, engagement time, how much time elapsed. You'll notice like every few seconds or so when this is, I don't know why I just keep doing this. Okay, once you get into that mode, it tells you, it stops it. But you can see the stream coming. So let me just go back to the scroll again. I'm in the debug mode, and if there is any campaign running. So that's how you debug and make sure your tracking is working. You can see these things in action. If you have 5 or 6 people debugging, you can definitely give them a debug option, enable. There is also a Google tag. Let me move this here. I hope you guys can see my screen. There is a Google Tag Assistant. This window right here, you can turn that on your browser, and then that event will start to roll in as well. So you can have multiple people debug your source code here. Not sure why this is. I found this to be a bit flaky. Sometimes it stops as you're going through the site. So I'm going to launch. Here's what I'm going to do. Actually, go back, preview, start it again. Debugger connected. Move my windows here. And then refresh again. That should start to show me all these events again. Yeah, so events have started happening again. Somehow it just stops. I don't know why it stops in there. So any questions so far? This is what I wanted to show you. I'm going to also, since there is time, I am going to also show you how you can enable events in Google Analytics 4. So I'm going to pause for a minute, let you guys ask questions. No questions? Pretty familiar with everything? Microphone. Okay, so I'm going to go to Google Tag Manager now, since there are no questions. And now I'm going to show you how you can set up an event tag. So click on New, and I'm going to call it Test Event. That's it. I'm not doing anything fancy. Will you be going over the specific events in this course? Yes, all the events. So there are 2 courses that I have. One is the beginner, which goes over a lot of reports and just tells you what these reports mean. There are new terms and new metrics that have been that are available. That's part of the intro level membership on Optizent Academy. That course is available as a part of that. Then there is deeper course that is 0 to Hero, which is like the mastering Google Analytics completely. In that, I will go through every single thing that comes up. So if you're asking me a question, I am going to cover all those scenarios. So let's say you have a problem. Hey, how do I do this? I will create a video, put that as a part of the course so everybody can benefit. So think about that course is going to be the master course where every possible scenario is possibly going to be covered, or at least the ones that I know of or my students know of. So yes. So such as difference between page view and session start. Yes, those are covered, but I can talk about that right now. So everything in Google Analytics 4 is event.
In order to track that, rather than creating, think about those who are familiar with databases, rather than creating like columns and saying, hey, here is a new user that comes in, what was their session start time, what session number was, how many minutes they spent, etc., which are different columns, right? Think about old log files. I used to work in log files and databases, so I can see how they collect the data. Instead of that, what they're saying is every single action or thing that they want to track is event. So session start, what time did it start? Okay, this is the session ID and user ID. Okay, I'm gonna mark now page view. Page view is an action that is they're viewing a page. And not in every scenario, you're gonna have a page view, right? You can, using this model, you can even send offline data, like data from your store. Cash register rings, checkout starts, but there's no page view. So page view is a specific type of event that allows you to see which session, which screens or pages users are looking at. In that scenario, you could say on in-store visit. That could be your event. So that's the difference. Session start is just a way for them to capture when the session on the site started and or any place started. And then page view is a specific type related to web or mobile. But if you go offline, that page view, instead of page view, it's going to be store visit or store checkout. I hope that makes sense. If not, I can clarify that. The dog company, I'm getting data. Cool. Were you following all these steps here? Will I be getting e-commerce data with the base tag? No, you're not going to be getting e-commerce data with the base tag. Base tag only gives you page view and other 5 tags that I showed you earlier, which is in the enhanced measurement. So if you go into admin, look at data stream, click on it. These are the only things that you get with the base tag. Rest, everything you have to enable via events, which I'm going to show you the events. Keep in mind when you're using events, it's critical. 2 things that are very critical here. One, come up with your proper naming convention, because there are so many events. Every single thing can be tracked as events. So many events that you have to make sure people understand within your organization. And whatever nomenclature you guys are using, it's all everybody's available. So data governance, data naming convention comes into play a lot. Second is there are Google Analytics 4, Google Analytics 4 defines certain events, gives you certain names. Make sure to use those names wherever possible. There is a huge list of events. If you do not, or if you actually follow their naming convention, many reports and functionalities become available in Google Analytics 4. If you don't use their names, then it becomes difficult because now you have to configure everything the way you want it. For example is generate lead. I think the name that Google Analytics recommends is generate_lead. When I first started playing with it, I called it lead_gen. Then I realized, okay, I'm not getting this, I'm not getting that. That's when I disabled it and went to look for that event. So there are tons of events now. More events or names will be available in future. A lot of functionality is still missing in Google Analytics 4 as I see it. After having spent hours and hours looking for certain stuff, playing with it, I still couldn't get or find it. And as I mentioned earlier, their documentation just sucks. It's not even there. Like even reports, when I was trying to figure out, okay, what is this report telling me? There's nothing in Google. I did all Google searches, Google's all their documentation, but then I finally figured out, okay, what these are. So I'm going to be putting those in my courses. All right, cool. Yes, was following your steps. Great. And that's what I wanted you guys to do. Just follow the steps along so you can see. All right, I'm going to go back now to show you how you can track other events other than these. So let's say I have a tag. One, you have to actually, in order for you to get event tracking, you have to use this tag, GA4 event. GA4 event then asks you which stream ID or the property ID you want to use. In this case, we're using this GA based tag. Those who are familiar with old Google Tag Manager or Google Analytics, you'll remember there used to be a variable, right? You put a tracking ID variable. Now you put a base tag, the one we created. So pick that, and then you give your event a name. This is the name that needs to match the name that Google has provided, or follow your naming convention if there is no matching event available in Google Analytics. For example, I want to call it a nil test. There is not going to be one that Google Analytics recommends. This is my own tag, my own event. I want to do something. I just want to trigger it on every page. However, you won't do that. You might just call it generate. Oh, sorry. Right here, you might want to say generate lead. That might be your event. Whatever you name is, you give that event a name. Then you add parameters to that event. Parameters will allow you to get more details about that event. So let's say I'm going to add a parameter called value. Value is one of the reserved words in Google Analytics 4. Value signifies the value of that event. So for me, let's say generate lead, the value is $10. That's it. That's all I want to do. You can pick other options here if you want. That's all I'm going to do. I'm not going to get into other things. That's one. And then I'm going to trigger it on a specific page, right? Because thank you page or so. But for now, I'm just going to trigger it on every page. So every person who comes to my site is going to be counted as a lead. That's all I'm doing. Then I go ahead and I can call it test event. That's fine for this purposes. Go ahead and save it. And I'm going to submit, publish. Okay, now go ahead and hit the pages again. Let's see if debug is still working here. So I'm going to close this one out, go to my debug view, and see what happens here. I hope the debug is still connected. Oh, connected. If you guys can go ahead and hit this, then it'll help me figure out what's going on here. Okay, user engagement happened, something happened here. You'll see a bit of delay here. I've noticed always some kind of delay and the events get missed in this one. Maybe it's buggy. Maybe that's how it's supposed to work. I do not know. There is no documentation around it. So I'm going to go to real time now. It takes a while for real time to actually come up as well. Yeah, that is nothing has happened so far. So you'll notice that event will start to show up here, the one I just created. I fired it on all the pages, so it should come up. Meanwhile, I'll take the questions while this is coming up. Okay. I'm going to switch between real time and this mode. Yeah, see, generate lead right here, that event got triggered. And when I click on this event, it shows me, it should show me the values here. So I'm going to, actually, it's not here. Once that event is all compiled and everything, it's going to start to show up in this list right here because we just enabled it. It takes time for that event to come up. Let me see if it'll actually come up for today's date. It generally takes a little while for it to show up. Yeah, it's not there, but they'll all start to show up here. And you can just debug them right here. So generate lead, 9 people have visited or 9 pages have been viewed. And so it's showing up here. All right, so that's all about enabling Google Analytics 4. There is not much in terms of enabling because I just showed you the page view. I just showed you how to enable your events. The key in Google Analytics 4 is figuring out which event to use, what name to use, what properties to use, and how do you define them. So like The upfront planning has to be accurate. Otherwise, you'll end up with the garbled data. So keep that in mind. You define what you want to measure, what properties you want, what parameters you want, where are the values going to come from, and then define them. Once you define them, the data flow is easy. All right. Any questions? Was this useful? I'm going to stop this here. Again, stop this and go and put it in preview mode again. See what happens. Start. Cool. Thank you, the dog company, Brenda. Thank you. Cool. See here, now that event got fired. It just kind of, as you can see, it's a bit flaky on how it all gets fired because I just loaded the page and it went quiet for a while. Then generate lead came in. Clicking on generate lead shows me the value, $10. That's what I provided. You can see the source, where it came from, etc. So a bunch of these parameters are coming up. You can add as many parameters as you want to these events. But figuring out what those event names are going to be, how you want to use it, where the values are going to come is all a bit tricky, or not tricky, but that's where thinking has to come. What do we want to track? It's very much going to the way we used to do stuff. It's funny. When I started my career in analytics or digital side of things, I came from a background in databases, backend. Used to do that, and front end development. Then I went into this whole marketing side of things. When we first started playing with these tools, they were all log files. You get a bunch of values in the log files, you put them in a database, then you process them to understand. This seems to me very much like that. That's the direction we are going, because Google Analytics 4 now has integration with BigQuery. BigQuery or any SQL or backend database. So SQL is going to be very critical. Somebody was asking yesterday about, there was a question, where can I see on-site search report or the keywords that people are searching for? Well, there is no report available at this point. I spent a lot of time looking for where I can create that. I'm not sure if Google Analytics 4 has a plan to create some of these planned reports, or are they expecting people to just go into BigQuery, pull this data, transfer it over to Google Data Studio and create reports there. Seems like that's the direction they're going. So if you are a freelancer or even an analyst trying to get into this whole analytics or doing this, I highly, highly recommend you become familiar with SQL, BigQuery. It is going to become crucial. And it is complex. I can tell you that. Even like I have spent so much time, I can find it. Yesterday, I was working with my data scientist friend, and we were trying to do some analysis on Google Analytics data, like some trend analysis and some, finding out what events and what session values are a predictor of somebody taking an action. And the way data is organized is a bit different, or not a bit different, but a lot different than how it's stored in traditional SQL databases. So the sooner you get familiar with it, the better chances you have to kind of be in the forefront of all these things. That's my recommendation, but you can take it, leave it, your choice. Just one question, is there a list of basic tags for WooCommerce site? I am not sure about WooCommerce site, what kind of things that allows you to do. I will check into WooCommerce. I have it enabled on somewhere. But as long as you know the events that you need to trigger and values you need to get. So let's say in an e-commerce scenario, you're viewing a product. That's where it starts, view product. So view item, I think, is the name of the event that's used for viewing a product. Then it has parameters assigned to it. Those parameters are the item price, right? Price of the item, the color, attributes, etc. You can pass all these as long as you can grab those from the WooCommerce page via data layer or some other CSS way. You can use Google Tag Manager to pass all those values and your data will start to populate in Google Analytics 4. So all you have to understand is events and where will I get the value of the parameters for those events. As long as you get that, the model in your head, that's all you need. Yes, I mean, there are other things that will come up, but this is the first thing. So which I've already covered in my course that if you look at, I've already covered those pieces like the data model for this Google Analytics 4, so that you can understand how it works. And then it's a matter of exploring things, which event, what values, where I'm going to get it, all that stuff. There are still some things that are not working, that are a bit flaky. Like I said, this thing, when I first launched this page, there's no page value, that page event that happened. It happened a while ago, but then after a minute or so when I reloaded it. So these things are still not fully developed, but here, something that came up 42 seconds ago. But as they become available, I'm going to be updating the course and adding those to them. Cool. Any other questions? What do you think about Google Analytics 4? Fun? Not so much? Different? Yes, it is different. No more questions? Okay. If we don't have questions, then that's all for today. Make sure to give it a thumbs up if you like this video. And then any comments that you leave. I am going to be sending, a link to you guys for those who want to sign up for Google Analytics 4. There are several ways how you can enroll in that. One is you can become a member, and as lectures become available, you can get them. And I'm going to be adding all use cases, whether they are asked in the Facebook forums, whether I see them in Quora, whether my students are asking, students get the priority, right? So if you have a particular situation, I'll create that one first. So those will be available. So you have a beginners one in the beginners membership, and then you have the full course in the advanced membership or the pro membership. And then you can also get the course by itself if you don't want to buy anything else. Like, there will be new Google Tag Manager course coming up. That'll be part of it. I'm also bringing some A/B testing, some conversion optimization courses. Those will be all part of the pro membership. So, but watch out for the email that I'll be sending out to you guys. Cool. I'm going to stay here while you guys are thinking. If you have any questions, let me know. Yes, a lot to learn, the dog company. Yes, it is actually a lot to learn. And it's fun. Just playing with all this stuff. I get up in the night. I'm like, okay, this is an idea to do it. This is how I should be thinking about this thing. So it's pretty exciting. If you can spend this time looking at it. And it's funny that, I love to play with this stuff. That's why I do this. Teaching is part of what I love to do. And that's why I build these courses. But then I have other client obligations, which take priority and which are mostly Adobe Analytics kind of work. So I end up working on those clients rather than these courses. So that's why there is a bit of delay that happens when I publish these things. All right. No questions. All right. If no questions, then just say, I'm all good, good. I'll know. Everybody is done. Anything else you want to see while we are here? I'm happy to show you that. Let's see. I'm going to show you another thing here. Hold on. Maybe that has more events in there. Yeah, look at all these events. So you have, I'm already tracking a bunch of these events like session purchase, generate lead, file download. Oh, actually, here's what I can show you. You guys still with me, right? Let me show you this. So I'm going to go here, and I am going to go to videos.asp. Okay. So I created this page. Actually, I was thinking like I'm forgetting something to show you guys. Okay. Brenda, stay there. I'm going to show you something else here. So these are what I did is, you remember those 6 events that I talked about by default in this chat? So let me go back to that one. I have a bunch of these test accounts that I keep creating here. I need to clean them up here. So you remember these ones? These 6 scrolls, we already saw page view and scrolls. Outbound, site search, video engagement, and file download. So I've created this special page where I have the video, outbound, file, and search example. So I'm going to show you how these work. I'm going to go to real time here. Okay. So these are all our real time things. First, let me go. This is a YouTube embedded video. So this is the first Google Analytics 4 versus Google Analytics comparison that I did. That is already on the channel. So if you want to see that, go ahead and check that out. So when I play this video, right, it's playing right now. As I will go here, it'll start to show up. Let me see if the debug mode is still working. Yeah, video start. See that? I started a video, that event came up. Now it gives me video title, video URL, is it visible or not, video provider, etc. So you see a bunch of things that it comes up here as soon as you start the video. So that is how it's automatically tracked. I have just put this embedded video. Now, just taking the YouTube embedded code is not going to simply work. You have to have a special code, which I'll drop in the course, like, okay, how to wrap it up in a proper way so that you can start to track them. Let's see if this pause comes in, video, generate lead also got video progress happen, right? So you can see where it's progressing, video percent, 25% market triggered that. All that stuff is being captured automatically. I did not even do anything in this new property. Now, second one is outbound link tracking. This is a question that came up yesterday in the Facebook group that I run. In that group, it says, how do I track outbound link tracking? Somebody said, well, you have to use GTM. That's for the old one. New one, it's all default. So let's say if I'm going to click on Anil Batra's blog, this is my blog, which I haven't written, but I need to start writing again. I used to write a lot here. You'll soon start seeing more and more content on this one from me. But then I go back and what happened here? Did I pause it? All right, I'm going to go click it again. And see if it starts to show up here. I'm also going to go click on this one. What you will see here is a link click. If it worked, if not, I can go to real time. Like I said, this is a bit flaky that I've seen. Oh, click happened right here. So outbound click, true, link URL is anilbatra.com. That's where the click happened. So I didn't have to do anything. Just the default tag allowed me to see external link tracking by just enabling that base tag. Now, the third thing that I want to show you here is also download file example, and then I'll show you the search as well. So download file, it downloads a doc file from the site. So when I click on it, when I go back, I should start to see that. Oh. Okay, I'm going to do that again. Make sure that gets triggered. Download file. So it's downloading right here. And that should start to show up. File download. So clicking on file download showed me the link text, link URL, so I can see which file was downloaded, page location, page, all these parameters. I mean, I can pass more parameters if I decide to do that. File extension is the doc file. So you get all this by default, which is pretty awesome. You can know pretty much everything that the user is doing. Is now it's a matter of building those insights. So a lot of time and value will come in when you drive those insights. What does it mean if people download it? Can I retarget those people? Should I send them an email? Is downloading a file a predictor of somebody buying from me? And what's the value of that file download? Somebody this morning asked the value of analytics. And their client, if you look at the Facebook group, their client is saying, I don't see the value. I can just estimate the traffic. If all they are doing is estimating the traffic, then they have several solutions. They can just put a hit counter. That's it. No need to do anything. The value is not in the counting these things. So value is coming up. What does this mean? And how can I use to drive or make my business better? That is where the value is going to come. Yeah, Brenda, right? So that's what they were doing, is like, we can estimate the traffic, sure. Think about this. There are tons of ways of providing the value of analytics, cost savings, revenue generation, customer engagement, customer lifetime values, churn. Either it's cost saving, either it's generating value. It could also be just a great customer experience on thing. It's a multi-channel, multi-device environment we live in. Why do we need a website when we can have an app? Why? Because not everybody is using an app. Why do we need an app when we can have a website? Well, not everybody is going to be making decision there. Why do we have stores? All these things are connected. So learning and then applying is how it helps. Turn data into information. Yes. And those information into insights that you can take action on, right? So that's what you're doing, is converting. The value is coming into providing those things. What does this mean? Bounce rate. Bounce rate is gone. Those who are familiar with old version, it's engagement. But what does this mean? If people are engaged or not? And if a business is not understanding that, then they should not be doing this. I did a presentation at a Marketing Analytics Summit a while ago, I think in June this year, talking about the culture of data and experimentation. How do companies create those, and which kind of companies it's easy to create? And I interviewed a bunch of folks from across the industries, very well-established companies, well-established startups, not new startups. I did a bunch of people, I contacted a bunch of people who have written books on these things as well. And there was a common consistent theme. If the top executive level doesn't understand the value of analytics, and they have to figure it out what the value is, then people underneath them are just going to be struggling. There is nothing more than providing reports day in, day out. So keep that in mind. All right, so you saw the file download here. I mean, I can go on that topic forever. That's something that I cover in my Become a Digital Analyst program, where I teach not only these things like tools. Tools are something which I say, do this, but the process to get to creating that culture, process to measuring those things. I've been teaching for 16 plus years. One of the first programs in University of British Columbia that was teaching web analytics. I was teaching there for 16, 17 years now. And then for Digital Analytics Association, University of Washington, Bellevue College, corporations, like I ran a program at Microsoft for years. So all those knowledge is in Become a Digital Analyst. And those who want to really be a digital analyst, I suggest you take that program. Next one is starting in January. All right, so here, then I'm gonna do search example. Well, this is on-site search. I do not have an on-site search here, but let's say if you go to Optizen and you are on the blog here, This is different from Optizen Academy. This is our consulting side of business. So when you go here and then you search, let's say if I'm searching for Adobe Analytics, right? That's the search. And as you'll notice, all the articles related to Adobe Analytics are coming up here, and you'll see this keyword showing up here. You can track that on this to see what keywords people are searching for. I'm going to show you that as an example here. So what I've done is simulated that because I don't have a search yet. So search project managers, click on it, and you'll see project managers. S is equal to. This could be SQ, whatever query, whatever keyword you're using, and then the name of that keyword. So when you go to Google Analytics, you'll see, again, I'm going to do refresh here. That should give you a search one. I'm going to give it some time. Any other questions meanwhile, while this is popping up? View search results. See that one? Click on it and you can see the search term, project manager. That's what I searched for. Which page I searched that on, what search term was used, unique search terms, page location, etc. You know, combining these things where you're searching from and what you're searching provides a great value to your organization. Hey, people are on a product page and then they go to search and they search for color. So should we create a structure on our site that allows people to dive into colors directly? Let's say if you're selling clothing or shoes or whatever, right? That is the insight that you can bring to drive that business forward. So think about what's the problem we are trying to solve? What's the stuff we are trying to do? And then do the tracking. Don't jump into tracking Google Analytics or whatever tool you're using without thinking the purpose. What is the purpose? We spend a lot of time, like I've been working with a client for almost 2 months just to figure out what to track. We haven't even started tracking yet. What to track and why to track, and who's going to be using it and why they are going to be using it. That is the stuff that we go through before we even put tracking. Tracking is relatively easy. I mean, I'm teaching you a bunch of stuff right here. You can do it. But why should you track is where the value starts to come in. Even though everything is anonymized, how will GA4 track the buyer who logged in on at work, did research, but went home? Yes, great question, Brenda. That is why I user properties. So if I'm on this device, like my desktop, then that is what you will track. If I go on my mobile phone, that is what you will track because you do not know who I am till I log into one of those devices. If I log into one of those devices, once you know who I am. If I log into my desktop, then I also log into mobile. You can stitch those together by using user properties, which is a user ID. So you use a common user ID across those devices, all places, to stitch them together. Could even be email address. It could be a credit card information. But there are a bunch of ways to do that, but you can do that in setting up user properties. Something that I covered in my Google Analytics advanced course that Brenda, I think you already have that. That's what I covered in that course, but we'll be covering here in Google Analytics 4 course as well. Similar process, but different steps here. Cool. What else can I answer? All right, we are over the time, but I always keep additional half an hour to answer any questions. All right. Well, if you do have any questions, then, hey, I'm looking at, I don't know which camera it's using right now. I'm seeing one camera in front and one is there. Okay. If you do have any questions, let me know. Send me an email. I don't have yet generally time to answer every question and help everybody there, but I try to help as much as possible. But if you don't get a response, do not, please do not, whoever is listening, do not send me Facebook Messenger messages. I do answer them, but I get very annoyed by those messages because one, I'm not used to Facebook Messenger. If anything, feel free to email me and I'll respond via email. But so that's just one request. One. In your opinion, will GDPR and the new California law impact the collection of this? There actually data collection privacy is built into these things, into the new structure. And that is one of the things that why they decided this way. You can disable a lot of data tracking or for particular users. So all those settings are available. When you collect events, you can say, I don't want to collect this for advertising purposes or this purposes. So all these privacy things are built. Yeah, let me just go. I haven't fully played with it, but you can data deletion request. So somebody's trying to get a data deleted. You can delete them right here. And you also have, when you start to see events right here, let me show you another property. And you go into all events. And you have these three dots, click on it and say mark as NPA, not for the advertising. So you can actually remove those. Excludes user property from ad personalization. So you can remove those things. Privacy is kind of built into it. You can also, and this is maybe another reason, you can go into BigQuery and delete any specific user's data if you get a request and say, we're not using that data for anything. And that's why maybe they want people to just go into BigQuery, build their dashboards from there. It's easy. I'm sure they'll be building more controls here as well. But that's part of the whole new GA. Very, very good question. Yes. Anything else? And remember that value I was showing you, the value column starts to show up in these things. So you can see the value right here coming up when you pass the value to an event. Oops. I somehow just don't like this, the way their scrolling works. So real time, let me see if there is actually coming up, generate lead. Yeah, it's not here. Home. Yeah, see, they're changing a bunch of code here as well. A lot of reports are being changed as we speak. And that's one of the things is as I keep building these course content, they keep changing stuff on me. I have to go back and fix those. That's the challenge with keeping up. Okay, cool. You're welcome, Brenda. Anything else? Any other questions? All right. So if you're interested in Google Analytics 4, learning more, become a member of Optizent Academy. I can tell you, you won't regret. I bring all my knowledge as much as I have there. If I'm doing any live sessions, any presentations, they all end up there. I'm going to be beefing it up with more and more content from my end, plus third parties or my friends who are in the industry or people who are prominent in the industry bring their knowledge. So if that's one place, if you want to be the top-notch digital marketing analytics or technical marketer, whatever the term you want to use, or data-driven marketer, I can guarantee you won't be disappointed with what you will learn there. Yes. Yeah. I will put that in the code. I can show you the code available here if you do it. And I'm still doing more research before I actually go ahead and put it. But here is the code to show tracking in GA4. Here is a code, the API call that's needed. And all you do is part of this is your video ID. That's it. So you take this default code and put this video ID in every video. That's it. But I'll send this. This will be part of that course. I will put that as a resource. I just need to do a little bit more research on this so I can feel comfortable with that. All right. Cool. Any other questions? Comments? Good, bad, confused, went too fast, whatever. Just tell me. Your feedback is critical for me. I'm doing these trainings every week, trying to bring this every week. And I want to make sure people are getting the value. I'm hitting the right topics. And your participation is critical for me. Beautiful. Your help is priceless. Thank you. Thank you, Brenda. Thank you for your kind words. Cool. All right, then. If there are no more questions, then we're done. And if you do have questions, feel free to send to me. I might have another live stream and answer those questions. So thank you very much. Talk to you guys later. Bye. I'm going to give 20 seconds. And then if I don't see any other words, then I'll end the stream. All right. Cool.